All right, Yankees fans, gather around because we need to talk seriously about what's happening on the field. Devin Williams has been in the spotlight again, and honestly, it's frustrating to watch. Every time you bring him into a high-pressure situation, there's this hope, this expectation that he's going to be the guy to shut things down, to protect a lead, to get you out of a jam, and more often than not, he falls short. And this isn't about blaming the umpires or calling the strike zone unfair. Forget all that. The numbers and the performance speak for themselves. Devin Williams is supposed to be your go-to arm in those critical moments, the pitcher you trust when the game is on the line. But time and time again, he's shown that he's not reliable in high-leverage situations, and that's exactly why fans are losing their patience. Let's break it down. In high-leverage situations, the kind where every pitch matters, the kind that can define a season, Williams has struggled. He's appeared in over 30 high-leverage games this year, and his opponents are hitting over .250 against him, with an OPS that is far from intimidating. Batters are seeing him well, they're connecting, and the results aren't what you need from a closer or setup man in those critical innings. Even if you look at medium-leverage situations, the story doesn't get much better. He's been hit hard, and the runs are piling up in moments that matter most. And when you bring in a pitcher like him in a tie game, in a situation where the team's playoff hopes or division aspirations hang in the balance, it's just not a smart move. Now, don't get me wrong. Devin Williams had a fantastic track record before joining the Yankees. He was dominant in relief, whether he was closing games or setting up for the closer. That reputation is why the team acquired him in the offseason. Expectations were high, and fans believed this was a player who could step in and be a difference maker in critical innings. But baseball is not about reputation. It's about results. And so far this season, the results just haven't been there. You see it in the stats. In April, he struggled with an ERA over 9 in 12 appearances. In May, it dropped a bit, but was still over 4. June was worse, July slightly better, and August hovered around mediocre numbers. Last night, for earned runs in another high-pressure outing. When you look at those numbers collectively, it's clear that relying on him in crucial spots is a risk that rarely pays off. The frustrating part isn't just the numbers, it's watching him on the mound. There's a lot of arguing with umpires, a lot of visible frustration, and it seems like he's carrying a lot mentally with every pitch. You can see that he's trying, you can see that he's laboring through each inning, but effort alone isn't enough in professional baseball. Execution is what matters, and he hasn't consistently executed when it counts. Aaron Boone, as the manager, keeps putting him in these situations, presumably hoping he'll find his rhythm, hoping he'll work through his struggles. But this is a team fighting for a playoff spot, fighting for the division, and you can't afford to gamble on a pitcher who's proven time and again that he's not performing in high-leverage innings. Meanwhile, other options exist. You've got players like Mark Leiter Jr., you've got Duvall, and even though they may have their own struggles, there's evidence to suggest they might handle high-pressure innings better than Williams. And yet, Williams keeps getting the nod. You watch the game, and it feels like a pattern. Boone game plans for other pitchers earlier in the inning, then brings in Williams when the stakes are highest. And the results are predictable. Fans watch, numbers get checked, and frustration builds because it's clear that Williams isn't the solution. It's not about having a personal vendetta against him. It's about performance and team strategy. When a manager makes repeated decisions that put the team at a disadvantage in key moments, it has to be questioned. Let's talk about expectations versus reality. Williams was brought in as a dominant relief pitcher, someone who could handle high-pressure moments. That's what the Yankees were looking for when they acquired him in the offseason. And yes, there have been stretches where he showed flashes of brilliance, moments where you could see why he was signed. But baseball is about consistency, especially when you're aiming for October and beyond. 1 or 2 good outings don't erase the pattern of struggles in high-leverage innings. And this is what makes watching him so aggravating for fans who understand stakes. You're not just playing for the win today. You're playing for seeding, for momentum, for confidence heading into the final stretch of the season. And putting a pitcher out there who hasn't delivered in similar situations all year undermines all of that. And it's not like the mistakes are minor or fluky. There's a clear pattern. When the game is on the line, the pitches leave the zone, batters make contact, and the runs start to pile up. That's why the ERA numbers, the opponent batting averages, and the OPS in high-leverage situations are so concerning. These aren't isolated incidents. They're repeated failures under pressure. And in a team context, that's critical. Every run allowed in a close game matters. Every missed opportunity to shut down a rally can be the difference between a win and a loss, between maintaining a lead in the division race or falling behind. The bigger picture here isn't just about Devin Williams' personal struggles. It's about how the team manages those struggles. Boone's decision to repeatedly put Williams in high-leverage situations, despite clear evidence that he's not performing, raises questions about strategy and judgment. You want to give players opportunities to work through challenges, yes, but there's a line between giving a chance and jeopardizing the team's chances to win. The Yankees are not in a rebuilding phase. They're contending. Every decision has amplified consequences, and time after time, Williams hasn't justified being that go-to option in critical moments. And that's why fans get upset. It's not personal. It's about the stakes. When the game is tied, when every pitch counts, when the season hangs in the balance, the team needs pitchers who can rise to the occasion. Devin Williams has shown flashes of talent, but flashes aren't enough in a league where consistency under pressure defines legacies and playoff runs. Watching him take the mound in these moments feels like a gamble the Yankees can't afford. Meanwhile, other options sit on the bench, players who could potentially execute better, and yet the choice keeps falling on Williams. That's what makes the situation so aggravating. It's not theory, it's evidence, it's numbers, it's repeated outcomes, and yet the pattern continues. And that's where the frustration boils over. You're not just disappointed in one outing or even in 1 month. It's a season-long pattern. You can analyze the strikeouts, the walks, the hits allowed, the batting averages against him in critical situations. The evidence is there. And yet, each time Boone turns to him, it's like watching a rerun you wish you could skip. The Yankees are a team that should be making calculated decisions in the 9th inning of tie game, not hoping for luck or a sudden turnaround from a pitcher who hasn't delivered when it mattered most. This isn't about denying effort or talent. Devin Williams has the ability, and it's clear he's working on his game, trying to regain form. But professional sports aren't about trying. They're about executing. And the Yankees are counting on execution, not potential. In a league where margins are razor-thin and where one game can define a season, consistently putting a player in high-pressure spots who hasn't delivered is a recipe for frustration, disappointment, and in the eyes of fans, missed opportunity. The numbers, the performance, the patterns, all point to the same conclusion. In critical situations, Devin Williams is not the pitcher the Yankees need him to be. Now, let's dig even deeper into why this situation with Devin Williams is so critical. When you watch a team like the Yankees, one of the first things you expect is smart bullpen management. High-leverage innings are where games are won or lost, and the choices made by a manager in these moments can define a season. But when Boone repeatedly turns to Williams, despite the evidence of his struggles, it's hard not to question the strategy. It's not just about this one game or that one blown save. It's about a pattern of decision-making that has been consistent throughout the season. You can see it in the numbers, in the performance under pressure, in the reactions of fans who watch these games with high expectations. The bullpen isn't just a collection of arms. It's a carefully managed system where every decision counts and every choice has consequences. Think about it. When the Yankees have a lead late in the game, the 8th inning, the 9th inning, every pitch matters more than it does earlier. The leverage is off the charts, and the margin for error disappears. Devin Williams, unfortunately, has not shown that he can consistently navigate these moments. His opponent batting averages, his OPS, even his ERA in high-stakes games tell the story. And it's not like this is an isolated failure. It's been a season-long trend. He's had moments where it looked like he might turn it around, but in the big picture, those moments are exceptions, not the rule. Boone's reliance on him in these situations, therefore, becomes a high-risk move, one that could easily backfire and cost the team crucial wins. Meanwhile, other options exist on the roster. Mark Leiter Jr., for example, has shown better results in high-leverage innings, consistently producing numbers that suggest he can handle pressure more effectively than Williams. Even Duvall, despite his own struggles, has occasionally demonstrated the ability to manage critical moments. The issue is that Boone seems hesitant to commit to these alternatives in high-pressure games. There's this pattern of defaulting to Williams, hoping that he will find his rhythm, hoping that the past reputation will translate into present results. But in baseball, hope isn't enough. You need execution, you need results, and you need to trust the numbers. Consistently putting Williams in critical situations, despite the statistical evidence against it, is a gamble that the Yankees can no longer afford. And it's not just about wins and losses. It's about momentum and confidence. When a closer or setup man fails in a high-leverage situation, it doesn't just cost a run. It can shift the energy of the entire team. The offense starts pressing, the defense tightens up, and the game can spiral out of control. That's why the choice of who pitches in the 8th or 9th inning is so critical. Boone's decisions have a ripple effect. When Williams struggles, it impacts not just the immediate outcome of that game, but potentially the trajectory of the season. Fans see this, and the frustration builds because it's avoidable. You have alternatives who statistically perform better under pressure, yet the choice keeps falling on a pitcher who hasn't delivered when it matters most. Let's also consider the psychological aspect. Williams himself must feel the weight of these decisions, the pressure to perform when he's already struggling. That mental burden can exacerbate physical performance issues. You see him arguing with umpires, visibly frustrated, trying to regain control of the game. That shows effort, but effort alone doesn't translate to results. In high-pressure innings, mental toughness is crucial, but it has to be paired with execution. Boone's repeated reliance on him might be intended as a confidence booster, a way to give him opportunities to work through struggles. But what cost? The team is chasing playoff positioning and division leadership, and giving repeated chances in critical spots to a struggling pitcher risks everything. And here's the thing. This isn't theoretical. The stats back it up. High-leverage innings, medium-leverage innings, even low-leverage games tell a story of inconsistency. In high-stakes moments, batters are hitting above average. OPS numbers are inflated, and the reliability fans expect from a closer or setup man just isn't there. It's not a single-game anomaly. It's a consistent pattern. When you look at the season as a whole, you can't ignore the repeated failures. This isn't about opinion. It's about performance metrics. Yet Boone keeps turning to Williams in those pivotal moments, and that's where the frustration for fans, analysts, and even players likely comes into play. Meanwhile, the broader context makes these decisions even more crucial. The Yankees are in a competitive division, chasing playoff positioning, and every win counts. There's no room for error in high-leverage innings. When the choice is between a pitcher who has shown he can handle pressure and one who hasn't, the decision should be clear. Yet, time and again, Williams is chosen. It's almost like watching a recurring scenario where the team risks a lead unnecessarily. This isn't about a lack of talent. It's about maximizing resources effectively. And that's where the tension with Boone's strategy becomes impossible to ignore. At the end of the day, it's not just about Williams' struggles. It's about smart, evidence-based decision-making. It's about understanding the stakes of high-leverage innings and acting accordingly. Boone has alternatives, he has options, but time and again, the choice has been to trust Williams, hoping for a performance that hasn't been consistent. That's a gamble, a high-stakes gamble, and one that the Yankees can no longer afford if they want to make a serious run for the playoffs and beyond. Fans are watching, stats are watching, and the reality is simple. Relying on a struggling pitcher in the most critical moments of the game is a risk that has repeatedly not paid off. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. Whispers in the baseball world turned into outright shockwaves yesterday as the MLB reportedly imposed a stunning penalty on one of its most storied franchises. Sources close to the league suggest that the New York Yankees, fresh off what many considered a promising start to the season, have had 4 of their victories stripped away. The exact reasons behind the punishment remain murky, but insiders hint at potential violations that could shake the foundations of the team's management and roster decisions. Fans in the Bronx are said to be in disbelief, flooding social media with a mix of outrage and confusion. "You don't expect this to happen to the Yankees," one longtime season ticket holder commented. "It's like the rug has been pulled from under us." Sports analysts are speculating that the move could be linked to undisclosed breaches of MLB regulations, perhaps related to player eligibility, financial infractions, or even off-field misconduct. However, no official statement has clarified the details, leaving room for endless speculation and heated debates. The Yankees organization has reportedly remained tight-lipped, issuing only a brief acknowledgement that they are reviewing the league's decision. Meanwhile, rival teams are rumored to be quietly watching from the sidelines, sensing that this unexpected shakeup could alter the balance of power in the American League. Some insiders even whisper about potential appeals and internal investigations, hinting that the saga is far from over. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.